Guys, welcome. Are you ready for this? It's going to be fun. We are talking about teaching your children to read, but it's going to be so much more than that. I think that everyone is going to learn a ton, and I hope that you enjoy it. Okay, tonight I'm going to show you how you can teach your child to read and using just 5 minutes each day, and that will motivate and excite them at the same time as teaching them how to read, okay? And we're going to get great results. You're going to have more confidence as your child's best teacher, and you're going to enjoy the learning process more. Can you guys see the next slide? It's me, right? Okay. So this doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be Instagram pretty. I know that you see so many images of the moms who have just these beautiful reading setups, but it doesn't have to be a huge production, okay? You don't need apps. You don't need a ton of curriculum. And let me tell you, one of the biggest mistakes that I made was sticking to a traditional learn to read method and trying to do as many crafts as I could, causing us unnecessary work for me and also meltdowns for my children. So I just know what that leads to, and I want to help you guys find a better way. So I'll talk to you more about this in a minute, but after this webinar, you guys are going to get started. You're going to be able to get started teaching right away. I want you to feel motivated and excited. I want you to know that it's not hard. It's not a hard process, okay? And this is just going to take you right now sticking around for the whole talk and not getting distracted. So please X out of all those other windows and turn off any distractions that you can. Maybe put on a show for your kids just this one time. But stay with me until the end, and I'll share some great resources and do question and answers, and also you'll be entered to win an amazing giveaway. So if you're just now joining me, make sure you comment on where you're from and what the ages of your kids are that you're wanting to teach to read, okay? Welcome, guys. So this is my family. We are fitting on one couch right now, kind of. And my oldest is 11 and my youngest is, well, that's an old picture. So he's 1 right now. And I've been educating for 12 years now. I worked in preschools and daycares. I've tutored. I led a local learn to read class in my community center. And I just want to give you a little bit of my beginnings. So let me tell you a little bit about where I started, okay? So before I decided to teach my children to read, I was following the regular system that maybe you've seen in schools where they just go through and they teach each letter sound. They teach the whole alphabet. And honestly, I wasn't really seeing very much progress. I tried the letter a day and things like that, and I really wasn't seeing progress in my child. They were forgetting the letters that we did last week, and they were getting frustrated because they weren't remembering, and just a bunch of things. And it was a lot of work with all the crafts and all the activities that I was trying to do. And so I just knew that there was an easier way. I knew that I just wanted to simplify it. I didn't have time to do all these different things that I was supposed to do, and I wasn't seeing any results from it. So I knew there had to be a better way. I almost gave up. I really did. I was like, oh, I'll just put her in preschool, or I'll put her in school and have them teach her. And I was really demotivated. So I just was kind of deflated and not as confident. And so I set it aside for a little while, and then I came back and I did a bunch of research. I read all the books I could on teaching your child to read, and you know, what they need before they read and what they need after they read, and all these different things. And so that's where all this information comes from. Hi, Caitlin from Texas. Welcome. She has a 5 and a 3-year-old, and she's starting to homeschool. Exciting. Perfect. Okay, so can you guys see this right here? This is pretty sad. Okay, this is when, so I read about the state of reading skills in America, and it alarmed me. It was scary. I was like, okay, if this is how our kids are coming out of school, and they don't, and a lot of them don't know how to read, or a lot of them are really unconfident or not confident, then, you know, I really need to step up my game and I need to do my research. And so that's kind of what motivated me, is learning all these statistics. So out of these statistics, what do you guys think is really surprising to you? I want to hear. Here it says 34 children entering kindergarten lack the basic skills needed to learn how to read. So that means 66% have the skills needed to learn to read. That's pretty good, right? 66% entering kindergarten. And then let's look at the next number. It says 65% of fourth graders read below grade level. Okay, so there's something to that. 66% have all the skills they need. They are on track. And now you have 65% not on track when you get to fourth grade. That's kind of scary. What do you guys think? So half of the kids that were prepared to learn to read are now behind in reading. And that, so 50% of those kids, what happened? You know? Oh my gosh, it's crazy. And according to these statistics, and these are from the Department of Education, according to these, they don't ever catch up. They continue to stay behind. It says 37% of graduate high school are at or above reading proficiency. So only 30%, 37%. It's crazy. How many of you guys think that's crazy? Wow, right? Okay, so it says that 93 million of adults come out of school, and it's like they weren't educated past the fourth grade. How do you guys feel about that? And then what else does it say right here? Okay, so 43% are functionally illiterate. So illiterate means that, functionally illiterate means they can only read, you know, very few words and very simple sentences. So probably about like a first or second grade level. And they have trouble reading their prescriptions. That's functionally illiterate. Kind of scary. Wow, right? Okay, so, you know, you could have been doing a great job with your kids at home before school, getting them all ready. And then there's a 50% chance that they will fall behind. That is a very high percentage, very, very high percentage. And so once I read that, I knew that I had to do something so my child wouldn't end up in those negative statistics. And I've done a ton of research. I've tested a ton of different programs on my daughter, and also on other children that my friends, and then other, like my daycare kids, that they allowed me to test out on them. And I condensed everything I learned into a really simple program so that it wouldn't take me so much time, because by then my family was growing. I had lots more kids, and I also started I started a bunch of other classes, tutoring and things like that. So not only did I have a bunch more kids, but I had other things going on to try to help contribute to my family. Okay, before we dig any deeper, I want to remind you of all the awesome benefits of staying through the whole class. Here is just a sample of what you will be entered to win if you stay the whole time, and comment below staying if you'd like to be entered to win, okay? So I know that you're going to be with me. Just comment, yes, I'm staying. Oops, I think I went forward, didn't I? Whoopsie. All right, guys. Okay, great. Christina and Caitlin, thank you so much for commenting. Good, good, good. We have Chateau, I hope I'm saying that. Kidwell, good. Great. Caitlin Jones, thank you. Margaret saying, thanks so much. Okay, great. I can't wait to share the rest of it for you. And this is the goal. I want my kids to learn to read. right? That's all of our goals. But by saying this, you are going to get so much more. Your child is going to get so much more. So here is our agenda for the class tonight. We are going to jump into the first step, which is making a reading a priority in your home, because that is going to be essential to your child's skill level. And this is going to really help you get the confidence and the motivation to teach your kid, okay? But another really great tip is getting other people who are around your kids on board. This could be your spouse, this could be your children's grandparents, this could be your aunts and uncles, anyone who is close to those kiddos in your life that can come alongside you and help you in your journey. And this is going to be really, much more attainable, your goal, and enjoyable to have someone come alongside you and help you. So step 2, we're going to talk about what other reading systems get wrong and what the most important thing is when it comes to teaching your children to read. And then step 3, we're going to talk about how to keep your lessons fresh with some easy and exciting activity ideas, but also some other tips that's really going to open your mind. And I know some other moms would love to skip the activities altogether. But either way, even if you don't want to do any activities, the method I'm going to share today will help you with that, okay? Even if you don't want to do activities. Okay, so step 4 is goals and routines. This is going to be about motivating your child and getting into the habit of lesson time. And this will help with tantrums and fits, maybe some fussing that you get, because they will know that they're going to be working towards something and when they're going to be working on that, okay? So finally, I'm going to share some amazing learning tools that will help make the process more fun and even easier. So let's talk about making reading a priority in your home. And let's be honest, what comes first? Homework or reading to our kids? And what comes first? Our favorite TV show on Netflix or reading to our kids? How about housework or reading to our kids? Which one comes first? Hi, Rhonda, welcome, welcome. So I just want you guys to kind of think of where your priority level of reading to your children is right now. And just the statement, knowledge is power. Let me know if you agree with that. Do you guys agree knowledge is power? Raise your hand. Yep, great. Thank you. Yes. I know, it just really, reading just encompasses all subjects, doesn't it? All aspects of our life. And so it is really, really important. And as you remember from the beginning of this class, knowledge is gained through reading. Obviously, with all those statistics about, children coming out of school at a 4th grade level, that is scary. It was because they were behind in reading. So not just reading, obviously, but reading well and comprehending what we're reading and understanding what we're reading or listening to. And in all of that, vocabulary really is the key, okay? It's key to your children grasping what they're reading. As you read, you're loading up your children with all the vocabulary, but more specifically, all the sounds that they need to learn to read. They need to hear all those sounds before they actually work it out themselves. So the more vocabulary and the more sounds you load your children up with, the more power you give them to understand and to speak and to write and to read. So Mozart, expensive teaching toys, computer programs, nothing has the power that reading does, okay? Nothing has the power of reading to your children. So knowledge is power, and when it comes to teaching our children to read, reading to them is actually key. Okay, so If we're going to make a reading a priority in our homes, we have to think of it as the greatest gift we can give our children. This is going to propel the rest of their lives, the rest of their academic lives. So beyond material things, beyond toys, the newest learning app, a passion for reading is a tremendous gift because it fuels all other learning. Okay, it's going to really give your children that foundation that they need. So you really need to know how to read to learn math, to learn history, to learn all of those things. Am I right? So one more story before I get into anything else. I was first teaching my daycare students, and some of you can really relate to this. I had a 2-year-old, I had a 3-year-old, I had 2 4-year-olds, and a 5-year-old in my daycare for the first year. And we would have story time right at breakfast. So after breakfast, we'd get down on the floor, do a little circle time, and do some reading. A few pages in, the 2-year-old would get up first and go for the toys, right? And then slowly the 3-year-old would get up and the 4-year-old and so on. But as the year went by, they got used to me reading at that time. And they got used to me, reading a certain amount of books. And they started to build up their time. And so that 2-year-old would take longer to get up. So she would listen to me for longer and longer and longer. And it was just awesome to see how, she would progress in that and just be able to, at the end, to stay for the whole time. And when children aren't very familiar with something, their attention span is really super short. So when you're reading to when you read with your child, not only are you making a positive connection to reading and to you, you are getting them familiar with how to do it. So you are effectively increasing their attention span. You're increasing their focus. So you are doing so much. You're increasing their attention span for learning, and you're exposing them to new concepts. So it's really the most amazing gift you can give. What do you guys think about that? Is that pretty awesome to think about? So with making reading a priority, a lot of parents talk about not having enough time. And I would say that there's always a little less of something that we could do. There's always a little less of the show that we can watch, or a little less of Facebook we could scroll. And I think it just really comes down to what we think about reading, and how much of a priority we put on it. So please know that I say this not to make you feel bad, because I'm right there with you, okay? I have 6 kids. I know how it is. But and I know that sometimes in our lives, we have no time. There's a new baby or something comes up. But I know that before all of the research that I did, I had no idea how big of an impact reading to my kids was. And so I really would put it off because I really didn't realize. And so I want you guys to comment right now what you guys think you could give up a little bit of to read more to your children. Put it in the chat box. Okay, and there's some really easy ways I'm going to share with you in just a second to get extra reading in without giving up much. So put it in the chat box, any of the things that you guys think you could give up just a little bit. TV time and social media scrolling. Yeah, I'm totally guilty of that. Yes. Housework, LL, you could give it up. Yeah, messy floors, happy kids. Facebook and TV shows, someone says. Bedtime, definitely. Make reading part of the morning routine. I like that. So I have some tips for you. One tip is to read during meal times. That was a great one. Reading during meal times. I really find lunch is a great time because while I'm fixing lunch, I can eat, and then I will serve my kids lunch and read to them. So that's a good time for me. You could also read to them when they're in the bath. So instead of just sitting there watching them take a bath or whatever, if you have little ones, you can read to them in there, or have an older child read to your kids. And let's see what else. You could have someone FaceTime your kids and have them read them a story. Now, your kids might not have the attention span to sit and watch the FaceTime and listen to the story. So they could just play quietly, do some coloring or something while someone else reads to them. That's pretty awesome, right? And don't forget about story time at the library, you guys. That would be an awesome place. I know that the library has free internet, so if you need to do some work online, check some emails, maybe do some lesson planning, you could do that at the library while they're doing story time. So there's so many other ways, and I can't get into those right now because that's a whole nother class that I do right before summer. So let's go on. Okay, so now that you know how important it is to read to your child and helping them in this process, let's move on to the next step. Let's talk about the most important thing when it comes to teaching your child to read, and that is learning letter sounds. That's why in step 1, I said that it's so important to read to your children because they are listening to those letter sounds first. And then once they hear it, then they can actually say it. So as you teach them what letter goes with what sound, they will refer back to what they have heard before. So all those combinations and all of the details that you point out. So there is an important thing to remember about learning letter sounds. Your child doesn't need to know all of the letter sounds to start reading words. Is that kind of surprising to you guys? This is where most programs go wrong. They try to teach all the sounds first, and that, I feel, really overwhelms their child. Not to mention the names. So you got the names of all the letters, and you got all the letter sounds, and you're trying to write them, and it's just like, whoa, you're just overwhelming your child, right? So after all of that, then they teach the kids how to blend the sounds. And honestly, that is very demotivating to the child. It's a very big disconnect. Why am I learning these letter sounds? You know, the letter sounds are so you can make words. Why not give those words that your children can make right away? So that is what I did with my children. That is what I teach other people to do, and I've had great success with it. I've taught over 50 or more kids personally, teaching them to read. Okay, so I believe it's very important for children to connect those letter sounds with words right away. Okay, so type, what do you think about that in the chat box? Let me know, and then I'll keep moving on. So with my system, I teach letters that can be combined together to create words right away. We have specific letters we've chosen to start with, but you can pick your own, of course. I suggest starting with 2 letters to teach your child first that can be blended to make a word, like up, right? Yes, it's easy to get lost in all of the different pieces. So, so we start with up. We start with we start with p. And once they get those 2 sounds down pat in their head, then we start teaching them how to blend those 2 into the word up. And some of you have our free printable flashcards, and you can use those really easily because it has all of the first letter sounds and all of the words that we use. So basically, children can read before they can write. They really can. And so the letter names aren't as essential up front. It's great to give them a brief introduction. It's great to teach them the letter names if they're at the age of ready to write. But we definitely want to make a point to explain to them that this is the name and this is the sound. Okay? Like a cow, its name is a cow. Well, it's not name, but you know, it's a cow. That's its name, and it makes a sound that goes moo. It's just like the letter, okay? So you can definitely teach the letter names, but it's not essential right away. You can, you know, when your child is little and they don't have the fine motor skills yet to do those letter to draw the letters, they can learn the sound. Okay, my next tip to help kids practice the sounds is to use all caps when they are first learning. Some people disagree with this technique, but I find that with beginners, this helps with confusion and keeps them from memorizing the shape of the word and guessing the word. You still get some children trying to guess, of course, but with this system, the activities, with this system and the activities in our next step, your child will develop the habit of sounding out the words and the letters, okay? With the knowledge that they gain when learning the different sound combinations. Another great reason to use all caps is to separate the short vowel sounds from the other irregular sound combinations, like the word the, okay? You can't sound out the word the. There's the T and the H make the sound, and then you have the E on the end makes the sound. So that's going to be confusing to your child at first, but the is so important because it's in almost every early reader, right? My oldest was in PJs during kindergarten, and it created a huge disconnect that we are still struggling with today. Okay. Oh, in public school. Okay, I'm sorry. So her oldest is in public school. I said PJs. Sorry, during kindergarten, and it created a huge disconnect, and we are still struggling with today. Yes. Okay, so that somebody says, wow, that blows my mind. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so there are some letter sound combinations that you can use lowercase to emphasize their difference. So that's kind of a little trick that we have used with our system, is to put the short sounds in caps so that they're sounding those short letter sounds out, and then we change the caps to lowercase when there's something different. And that triggers in your child's mind, oh, this is a different sound because those letters are smaller, or, you know, something like that. So it really helps them just remember that when there's different letters together, or when there's, you know, different combinations, that sometimes you say a different sound. Okay, so it helps them remember those little peculiarities, if that makes sense. So now there are some words that are just easier to learn by memorizing them. Later, you can teach your children the mechanisms behind that. But when they're very young, teaching them all those mechanisms and all, you know, I comes before E after C, all those ones that are, you know, you can just teach them the word. So we have a combination of phonics and sight words when they're young. And then when they're older, you can teach them the why behind of those sounds, when they're learning to spell, when they're writing more, stuff like that. For now, it's just necessary to know that they are different, right? So sight words are used a lot. So your children will get a ton of practice with them if they're reading short sentences. And there are lots of ways you can practice these words in a fun and easy way. Okay, left to right. This might sound really, really easy. This is the next tip. Sorry, guys, I'm jumping around. So this might sound really easy, but children really need to develop this habit because it doesn't come naturally to some kids. It really doesn't. So no matter what they are reading, I don't care if it's one letter, have them practice taking their finger from, I don't know if I'm opposite from you, but have them practice taking their finger and running it under the letter from left to right as they say the sound of the letter. So up, and have them go under the letter, left to right, okay? And call that reading. Oh, you're reading. Call sounding out that letter reading, so they know, they associate that. They associate moving their eyes from left to right and sounding out the letters with reading, with the word reading, okay? Because when we read to them, it's so easy for us, and we might not point to the letters as we read, okay, while we're telling them a story when we're reading to them. We don't sound out words sometimes, and it's a very foreign thing to them. They might feel like they sound funny when they're doing it, okay? So start modeling it and practicing it with your children. And that's exactly what we can do with the short lessons in this system. So if you're looking for a system that features all the aspects that I just described when it comes to teaching your children how to read, let me introduce you to the system I helped create with my husband. It's called 5-Minute Phonics. This book helps you go through learning letter sounds in a way that has your children creating words right away. So just like I said, we do have a brief introduction to the letter names. It's just a really great way to just really easily introduce your child to those names of the letters. And then after just a couple lessons, you'll go right into sounding out the letters and sounding out a word. So we use capital letters first so that your children can get in the habit of sounding out those words, and it easily transitions them into lowercase through a simple process of having them read the same sentences in both capital and lowercase. And we also do some sight words in lowercase so that they recognize that that is a different way to sound out those letters. Okay, this includes common sight words, like I said, and has your children reading simple sentences after they learn their first 100 words. They'll learn all the sounds that they need to create 100 words. And it's not all the letter sounds, it's not all the alphabet, so they don't get overwhelmed. They're reading right away, and they can start reading short sentences right away. It's super exciting. Here's what Caitlin had to say about the 5-Minute Phonics book. She used it with her daughter, and she's going to be using with her son soon. And she said, she said, "We love this book. It encourages and develops strong reading skills, all in short and fun lessons. I love seeing my daughter grab this book and try reading it on her own. Highly recommend this book for all young readers. It's a great book to start with." Okay, so for now, let's move on to our next step. Oh, and really quick, before I say anything else, if you have struggling readers, as you can see, the book that we're talking about is right in her lap. And this is great for struggling readers, and here's why. It's not a baby book. I know a lot of older kids feel like all the early readers and all the supplies or the resources are aimed at really young kids. So this is a book that really any aged person can pick up and not feel dumb, not feel dumbed down, if that makes sense, okay? So even if your child is 8 and they need to start at a really lower level, this is gonna help give them that foundation that they maybe skipped over. Some of the letter sounds, some of the sight words that they're missing, that really will help them. This is going to really boost their confidence. And then it has all the levels that they need to get up to about a 2nd grade level in this one book. Okay, for now, let's move on. Let's go to no mess activities, because this is such a fun part, but a lot of moms overthink. I feel like tons of people overthink this. They have to have so many things, and it really doesn't have to be Instagram perfect, okay? So this is gonna blow your mind. The activities are totally unnecessary, okay? Did you guys think I was gonna say that? Is that a surprise? Give me a comment, okay, if you guys thought I was gonna say that. So you really don't need any extra activities. Sometimes they can distract from what you are actually trying to teach your children if they're too involved, if they're too abstract, okay? So you simply really need to just work on learning and practicing those letter sounds for 5 minutes each day. And I really want to emphasize that. I'll emphasize it more in the next step. I better stay on track. So activities are really a bonus that rewards your child, okay? We want to look at activities as something that they get to do, not something that they have to do, okay? This will really keep it fun for you as well, the activities, but if you don't enjoy activities, then skip it. I mean, a lot of moms don't like them, really. And they might feel weird, like that they feel guilty for not doing the activities with their child. But really, I'm gonna say it's totally unnecessary, okay? So I know that a lot of you are wondering where you can get these activities and which ones are best, but let me tell you, there are so many. There are too many to count. Numerous ones. And I can give you some resources after the class if you want, if you're wondering about specific ones. But a good way to find them is to think about the letters and the words that you're working on that day, and then searching for it on Google or Pinterest. Just type that in. Maybe your child likes princesses and you want to emphasize the P letter sound. And you can just type that in, letter P, princess activities. And guess what? Tons will pop up, okay? We have a bunch of activities on our blog, trueimeducation.com, so you can write that down. And you just want to use the search bar for reading activities, or you can type in flashcard activities. And a bunch of stuff will pop up. If you're on your phone, you'll have to scroll all the way down to the bottom of the site to find the search bar. And if you're on a computer, it'll be on the left side. Okay, but seriously, don't overthink this. You can make up your own activities with things that you already have. Take this alphabet puzzle, for example. There are so many things that you can do with this just one puzzle. You can hide the letters, and then your child finds them and makes them, and you can make them say the letter sound after they find them all. You can help your child make words with the letters and sound them out. You can have your child hide his eyes and take one of the letters away and see if he can guess the letter sound that you took away the letter of. You could just have him do the puzzle and say all the sounds. It's really not hard. Okay, don't overthink it. You can get creative if you want to, if you're a crafty mom, but you don't have to. Okay? So, the next step is really key. These two things really work together to keep parents motivated and to keep kids with less frustration. It'll help your kids get less frustration, okay? So making goals with your kids is what is going to really keep your routine on track. They're going to be really motivated to do it. They're going to ask you to do the lessons, which is exciting, right? You don't have to make them do the lessons. So let's talk about the first one. So making your goals. What inspires them? This is really fun to make goals with your kids so that they are part of what they're trying to accomplish. And here's how you do this, because this is not going to be, let me be honest, okay? Let me start over. This isn't going to always be fun. Sometimes this is going to be work for you, just like it is to read to your child. Sometimes we don't want to read to our kids, right? We're tired at the end of the day. Maybe we take it too long to get to reading or something like that. But sometimes it really takes a lot out of us to do the regular thing, okay? To do the routine. It's not always easy, okay? Sometimes it's boring. Okay, I want you to think of something that's really boring that you don't like to do and type it in the comments for me. Right? So with goals, you really want something for you and your child, something that's going to be enjoyable for you as well. So I really want you to think of a goal that's going to be exciting for you, like an incentive is really what I'm talking about. Okay, I like to make the goal that when they learn to read all the words in level 1, so the first 100 words, that they get a pizza party. And why I like to do that is because then I don't have to cook. No, not all their friends, not with all their friends or anything like that, not like a birthday, but just with their siblings or just with you. And they get to eat pizza, they get to watch a movie, and they get to have a treat or like ice cream or cake or something like that. Okay, Christina says she does not like doing the dishes. Yeah, that's super boring. Okay, so you want to think of something that's going to be enjoyable for you and your child. Maybe going to the coffee shop if you like doing that, right? Okay, maybe do a weekly incentive. So, you know, if they do their lesson every day for a week, or if they learn so many letters every week or something like that, that's going to be really achievable and very enjoyable. You could also do daily incentives, like a small snack, like a small healthy snack, like apples or something special like tea time or something like that, to just motivate your child. Okay, so what are some things that you like to do with your child? Type those in the chat box, and maybe you can give some other parents some great ideas. Okay, let's share some ideas here. So when I say goals, I mean incentives. Incentives and goals kind of mixed into one. Give me some great ideas, okay? I want to know. Playing games. Ooh, yes, kinetic sand. So they can get out the kinetic sand if they do their lesson really great, or at the end of the week or something like that. Or we get to play a game after we do the reading lesson, or we get to get a new game after you complete all the 100 words, right? We get to go buy a new game. I love games. We are definitely a gaming family. Okay, now that you have your goals or incentives in mind, I want to reiterate how important it is to keep lessons short and sweet. This is for both you and your child, right? Okay, even if your child wants to do more, even if they're excited, sometimes it's best to stop them before that. Even if they want to do more, sometimes it's good to cut it off. That way they're super excited to do their lesson the next time. And you could even break it up. If they're really eager to do more, you can do some in the morning, some in the evening, or something like that. Break it up, but really keep those times that you're working on this short and sweet, okay? And that will really motivate them. One more point I want to make is when your child is learning to read, a lot of parents want to rush the process. So they try to teach them a bunch of letter sounds all in one day. And while that might be okay for older children, it totally depends on your child, okay? Taking it one step at a time and really ingraining those letter sounds, ingraining those sight words into your child's brain is going to boost their confidence. Even reviewing some things, going back and reviewing some things is really going to help, okay? This is going to make such a big difference. And I don't want you to think of, oh, my child is 6, so I got to really rush this. Or, my child is really young, but I want them to get a head start. It really is based on the child, how motivated they are, how much is clicking in their head, how much you've read to them. It totally depends on every single child. Every single child is different, and it was going to take longer for some. I know someone said that their 8-year-old and their 10-year-old, they're kind of having some trouble. Sometimes it's natural for some children to just not progress as fast as other children. That doesn't mean that they're not smart. That doesn't mean that they necessarily have a learning disability. They might have a learning disability, but just because that they're slower at learning doesn't mean that there's something wrong, okay? Okay, so for example, my daughter, she learned to walk at 9 months. Can you imagine 9 months? But my son, he didn't learn to walk until he was 13 months. And I was a little bit worried that maybe I should get him some therapy or something. But honestly, he just needed a little bit more practice and assurance that he wasn't going to fall. He was just not trustworthy of his own legs. So when teaching your child letter sounds, quick and short lessons are going to be best. Use your daily life to review the lessons. So you aren't sitting down and learning, but you are out in the world practicing those letters. If you see them on a sign, if you see them in the grocery store, if you're just reading to your child, you can point out some of the sounds to them, okay? So help them to really get those letter sounds in their brain before you move on to the next step. And I know there are some of you who have little to no time on your hands, but you would still like to have your child do the lessons. And we also, I just want to mention, we also have an online academy, and we have digital downloads that you can also get that have audio on them, which is really awesome. So that your child can listen to the word on their own. They don't have to always have you there. And that site is bluemanneracademy.com. And then I'll also show you some other resources later on, okay? So if you're in Canada and you can't, it's really not affordable to get resources sent to you, we have online resources and it's really inexpensive, okay? Here's what Danielle had to say about Blue Manor. She used it with her boy and is using it with her daughter as well. She said, "We had a great time with Blue Manor. My son did so well. He learned how to read his first books in preschool and is now reading simple chapter books like Captain Underpants. Thank you guys for putting this curriculum together." So how many of you would like to learn more about our system? Just type yes in the chat box, okay? So we're on to our final step, and I'd love to show you what we've made in terms of learning resources. And I really want to ask you guys what you want to see first. Do you want to see the physical books, like the print books, or do you want to see the online? Which one would you like to see first? And I will show the second last. So just let me know, okay? Heidi says print. So we have our print. Okay, we got second print. Print. Okay, print, great. So, and I know a lot of moms think about online as bad. And so what I want you guys to think about is separating the online learning games that you've seen before with our system. Our system is just books online, okay? It's not crazy games online. if that helps you kind of break that up, okay? So it's gonna be print books, but online, almost, you know what I mean? That's how we've designed it. So anyway, but I'm gonna start with print books. So I just wanna really quickly point out that our books are all available on Amazon. So you guys can get it right away. But stay tuned because I'm gonna share a special offer for you guys at the end of the class, okay? And really quick, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen and just be on the camera as me. Hi! Okay, can you guys see that okay, or is it backwards? Please let me know if it's backwards. If it's not backwards, great. If it is, uh-oh. Okay, so you can get all of these on Amazon. How awesome is that? So in the beginning of the book, this is the 5-minute phonics. In the beginning of the book, it's going to give you some tips. It's going to walk you through all these different tips on how to do the lessons, what you can do for success, and all of that. Okay, and here is the first lesson. It's going to give your children a brief introduction to all of the letters really quickly. Okay, and you don't have to dwell on these too much if your child is not progressing as well, but it's just a great way to go through the alphabet, introduce them to the alphabet. It has some seek and find right here that you can use, kind of fun. And then it gets to the phonics. So as you can see, this whole right here, this one page is one lesson. That's all you want to do for that day. Okay, so they're not going to be always in the book. They're just going to really quickly go through these simple letter sounds and start reading words right away. And then you will want to get outside of the book and get into their world and start having them say those sounds all the time. You know, when you get the umbrella out, umbrella. When you get their underwear out, underwear, okay? So all of that, this is just all it is. Isn't that awesome? What do you guys think about that? So that is the first couple lessons. And then I want you to see how you're going to get into reading some of those words. Now here, look, this is where the lowercase will help them realize that this is different. This is a different sound they're going to say. And then it will help them read those. It's not backwards. Great. Thank you. This will help them read those sight words. So see, this first beginning is different. It's not the same as these other letters, right? So they're going to say that differently. That will really help them in decoding those words and recognizing that these are different letter sounds, okay? So it points that out in the first level. And then that's all you're going to be doing in the first level is reading those words. You can do some activities where you make your own sentences. Your children might already be able to write a little bit, and so they'll want to start writing those words naturally. Just giving them a pen and paper, they'll start copying these words. That's what my son would do. He would take this book and just write it, and I wouldn't even tell him to. He'd just get excited about writing the letters and just copy these things and say, oh, Mom, I can read all these letters. Okay, then now it goes to level 2, and it gives you some introduction to level 2, and it has you reading really simple sentences, and as you can see all the capital letters, okay? And these are super simple sentences, so that'll be really easy for your child to read. And then, this is the magic, it will go to the lowercase, okay? And it will tell you all of the signs that you'll see to know that your child is ready for the next lesson, okay? It'll give you those tips on how to know that your child is ready to progress. because you want them to be able to read that very easily. You want them to be able to sound that out very easily, okay? And then they will be able to read these lowercase sentences very easily, and they'll be excited about it. Okay, and then it starts adding even more sounds. So you don't need to learn all of the sounds. If your child is 3 years old, they're gonna be super readers by the time that they're 5, okay? And if your child is a struggling reader, these sentences are gonna be awesome. These are really funny, some of them, so they're gonna be entertained while they read them, and they're gonna get that foundation that maybe they skipped over, okay? So it's an awesome book. And then it even goes farther and gives you level 3, and it's going to talk about vowels, and it's going to talk about some of the mechanics behind what your children are reading. So, because they're now, they're a little bit more advanced, they can kind of understand more, and so it's going to give them some more of those harder sounds that they need to know. And it's just going to keep going on, and they're going to be super advanced. This goes to about 2nd grade reading level, like I said, 2nd or 3rd grade reading level. Okay, and then I want to give you one more peek inside our early readers. We have 2 early readers. Okay, this is for after they read level 1. They're going to go from easy to hard. So the first readers in the set are very easy, as you can see. Can you see that okay? Sit, pup, sit. And they could even read this earlier than after the first 100 words. They probably would need to learn like 50 or so. But you know what? You could even use this book and just have them read the words that they know and then help them with the words they don't know. Okay, so it's going to be very, very motivating for them to read these funny, funny stories. The words are super big. That really helps. And then it gets harder. I'm going to show you guys. It gets a little bit harder. So as you can see, the sentences are a little bit longer at the end of the story. Isn't that awesome? What do you guys think about that early reader? This one is almost a bestseller on Amazon. It's one of our bestsellers on Amazon. And then they have the level 2. This is a little more advanced. This is going to be after they finish level 2, okay, or maybe halfway. As you can see, this has 2 sentences on each page, but look, the words are super big, okay, and the text very big, and that really helps. When the spacing of the letters are so big, it really helps early readers. If you can see that okay, hopefully. Okay, that's level 2. And then I'm just going to show you guys really other academy. So here we go. If you sign up, you can get a free account just to kind of see what it's like. Now, it's not going to have all the books available to you. I'll just show you what it looks like though really quick. So here's the parent dashboard. And right here, Mom's Library has some great free printables for you. For a full membership, it's only $6.99 a month. And here is where you're going to add a student. So when you sign up, you can sign up for a free account. You're going to add a student, and then you can get a preview of all the free books when you click Visit Academy. There'll be books in there that are absolutely free, okay? There will be books in there that have a little lock, and that means that those are not free. So you'll visit Academy, and I'm just going to show you inside our the reading part. It might take a little while because when I do the screen share, sometimes it's like that. Okay, so it has preschool right here. You can also do view by subject as well. So let's go to preschool, and here is all of the phonics. So you have the letters, you have phonics 1, and it breaks it up for you. You have all the early readers that your child can want. So let's click into phonics. So here's lesson 1, let's read it. And then this has quizzes. If you upgrade to the Blue Manor, if you upgrade to the Blue Star, it has the, what's it called? Oh my gosh, has the quizzes, sorry. Okay, so here it is, and you can just click the sound and it will.
This is the letter U. U says like umbrella.
So that is that. So that is simple, really simple, very clean. And your kids aren't going to have a bunch of flashing things or a bunch of weird games that they're not going to really learn their letters. It is just the letter. It's just our 5-minute phonics book put into a form that they can do online. Okay. So if you're out of the country or whatever, and online is really a source for you, then this is going to be key. And if you're on Facebook, because I did share this to Facebook, if you're on Facebook and you have questions that I'm not answering, then I will go back later and I will answer those, okay? All right, guys. Thank you so much. Bye.